Ladies and gentlemen, there is a feeling many of us carry quietly in our hearts, a feeling you can't fully explain. Things no longer fit the way they used to. What once excited you now feels heavy. Paths you were sure about suddenly feel blocked. And you begin to ask yourself, what is happening to my life? Listen carefully. This feeling does not mean Allah has abandoned you. It often means Allah is redirecting you. You see, if Allah wanted to punish you, He would let you continue comfortably on a harmful path. But when Allah loves you, He interrupts. He unsettles. He shakes the ground beneath your feet, not to destroy you, but to move you. Sometimes Allah closes a door you were begging to stay open, not because you were unworthy, but because what was behind that door would have broken you. You only see what you want. Allah sees what you need. That disappointment you're carrying, that plan that collapsed, that relationship that fell apart, that job, that dream, that version of life you were attached to. It may hurt, yes, but pain does not mean failure. Sometimes pain is guidance in disguise. Allah removes before He replaces. He empties your hands before He fills them. He creates space before He sends blessing. And here's something powerful. Allah will never redirect your life without also protecting your heart. If you turn back to Him, when things don't make sense, that is your invitation to trust. When answers don't come immediately, that is your invitation to grow. When the road feels unclear, that is your invitation to walk with Allah, not ahead of Him. Do not rush the process. A delay is not a rejection. It is preparation. Allah is shaping you for what you asked for and for what you didn't even know to ask for. So if today you feel lost, pause. If you feel uneasy, reflect. If you feel pushed away from something you loved, remember, Allah does not take away except to give better. Allah does not redirect except toward goodness. Allah does not test a heart He intends to abandon. Hold on to patience. Anchor yourself in prayer. Speak to Allah honestly. He already knows, and walk forward with certainty, even if your steps are small. Because when Allah is guiding your path, every step, seen or unseen, is taking you exactly where you need to be. May Allah grant us trust when we don't understand, peace when we are redirected, and strength to follow His plan over our own. Ameen. There are moments in life when your heart feels uneasy for no clear reason. Nothing dramatic may have happened on the outside, yet inside you feel restless, unsettled, uncomfortable. You begin to question yourself, your choices, your direction. Many people immediately assume this discomfort is a sign of failure or punishment, but that assumption often comes from fear, not faith. In reality, this unease can be one of the greatest signs of Allah's care for you. When Allah is displeased with a servant, He may allow them to continue on a path that slowly harms their soul while everything appears fine on the surface. Comfort can sometimes be the most dangerous test, but when Allah loves a servant, He does not leave their heart at rest in a place that is not meant for them. He places a weight in the chest, a sense that something is off, a quiet alarm within the soul. That feeling is not there to break you. It is there to wake you up. Discomfort is often the language Allah uses when guidance is near. The heart of a believer is sensitive. It reacts when something does not align with what Allah wants for them. That is why a person can have success, money, attention, or even stability, yet feel empty inside. That emptiness is not ingratitude. It is a signal. It is Allah gently pulling the heart away from what will not benefit it in the long run. Think about how many times you were excited about something, convinced it was perfect for you, only to later realize how much harm it would have brought into your life. At the time, the loss felt painful, but with distance, clarity came. What you thought was destruction turned out to be protection. That clarity often begins with discomfort. Allah plants it in the heart before He changes the situation. Discomfort pushes you to reflect. It makes you ask questions you would never ask while everything feels comfortable. It draws you back to dua, back to prayer, back to moments of honesty with Allah. When life is smooth, the heart can become distracted. When life becomes uneasy, the heart turns inward and upward. That turning is not accidental, it is guidance. Allah never burdens a heart without purpose. That heaviness you feel may be Allah telling you that where you are standing is not where you are meant to remain. It may be a relationship that is draining your faith, a habit that is slowly hardening your heart, or a path that looks successful but is pulling you away from Allah. The discomfort is mercy. It is Allah saying, there is something better for you, but you must be willing to let go. Many people ignore this feeling because change is frightening. They prefer familiar pain over unfamiliar growth. But faith teaches us that comfort is not always a sign of correctness, and struggle is not always a sign of loss. Sometimes the struggle is the doorway, sometimes the discomfort is the invitation. When you understand this, your relationship with hardship changes. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And begin asking, what is Allah teaching me? You stop seeing discomfort as an enemy and start recognizing it as a guide that leads you away from harm and toward purpose. If Allah did not care, He would not disturb your peace. He would let you continue without reflection, without growth, without return. But when He places that feeling in your heart, it is because He wants more for you, more closeness, more sincerity, more alignment with the life He designed for you. So do not rush to silence the discomfort. Sit with it, reflect on it, take it to Allah in the quiet of the night. Ask Him to show you what needs to change, because very often that discomfort is not the end of something good, it is the beginning of something far better. One of the hardest moments for the human heart is when a door closes after we begged Allah to keep it open. We prayed, we planned, we imagined our future standing on the other side of that door, and when it shut, it felt personal. It felt like loss, rejection, or even injustice. But faith teaches us to look beyond what we feel in the moment and trust what Allah sees in the unseen. When Allah closes a door, it is never random. Nothing in the life of a believer happens without meaning. That closed door may have led to emotional harm, spiritual damage, or a test you are not ready to carry. Allah in His mercy protects us from futures we cannot see. We see opportunity, Allah sees consequences. We see what sparkles now, Allah sees what would darken our hearts later. Sometimes Allah saves us by removing something we are attached to. That attachment can make the loss feel unbearable. Yet attachment does not always mean goodness. You can love something deeply and still be harmed by it. Allah knows this, even when we do not. That is why He sometimes takes what we would never have had the strength to leave on our own. A closed door is often Allah's way of saying, this is not for you, not because you are unworthy, but because you deserve better. The believer's worth is not measured by how many doors open, but by how much trust remains when they close. In those moments, faith is tested not in words, but in patience. Think of how many times you were disappointed by a closed opportunity, only to later thank Allah for it. The job you did not get that would have drained your values. The relationship that ended before it damaged your iman. The path that looked promising but would have pulled you away from who you were meant to become. At the time, you could not see it. But Allah already had. Closed doors also teach reliance. When everything is open, we begin to depend on ourselves. We trust our planning, our effort, our intelligence. But when a door closes, despite all our effort, we are reminded that control was never in our hands. That reminder humbles the heart and reconnects it to Allah. It brings us back to sincere dua, not just asking for what we want, but asking for what is best. There is also healing in closed doors. Some doors keep reopening in our lives because we refuse to walk away. Allah, out of mercy, finally seals them so we can heal properly. Not every ending is meant to be revisited. Some endings are final because reopening them would reopen wounds, mistakes, or patterns that held us back. When a door closes, it creates silence. That silence can feel heavy, but it is also space. Space for reflection, space for growth, space for Allah to place something new in your life that could never fit alongside the old. Had that door remained open, you would not have noticed the better one waiting elsewhere. Trusting Allah at closed doors is one of the highest forms of iman. It means believing that Allah's choice for you is better than your own, even when your heart is struggling to accept it. It means saying, my Lord knows, even when I do not. So when a door closes in your life, resist the urge to force it open. What is meant for you will never need to be forced. And what is not meant for you will never bring you peace, no matter how hard you try to hold on to it. If Allah has closed the door, it is because He is protecting your heart, your faith, and your future. Walk away with dignity, patience, and trust, because the one who closed that door is also the one who holds every other door, and He never takes away except to give something better in return. There are seasons in life when nothing feels clear. You wake up unsure of your direction, unsure of your next step, unsure of yourself. The certainty you once had is gone, replaced by questions, hesitation, and a quiet fear of making the wrong choice. Confusion can be deeply unsettling, and many people see it as a sign that something has gone wrong. But for the believer, confusion is not always a setback. Very often, it is the beginning of clarity. When Allah wants to move a person from one stage of life to another, He does not always do it with immediate answers. Sometimes He removes certainty first. He takes away the sense of control, so the heart learns humility and reliance. Certainty can make us rigid, attached to our own plans. Confusion softens the heart. It makes it flexible, receptive, and ready for guidance. Confusion forces you to slow down. When you are confident, you rush. You assume you know. You move quickly without much reflection. But when you are unsure, you pause. You think. You reassess. That pause is not wasted time. It is a space where Allah reshapes your intentions. It is often in confusion that sincerity grows, because you are no longer moving for your own ego or image, but seeking direction for the sake of peace and truth. Many people find Allah again in moments of confusion. When answers are missing, the heart turns to the one who holds all answers. Dua becomes more honest. Prayer becomes more focused. You are no longer asking Allah to approve your plans. You are asking Him to guide you to what is best. That shift in intention is powerful. It changes the quality of your relationship with Allah. Confusion also breaks unhealthy attachments. Sometimes we are too attached to an identity, a role, or a future we imagine for ourselves. Allah in His wisdom shakes that image, so we remember that our true identity is being His servant. When confusion enters, titles fade, expectations fall apart, and what remains is the heart standing before Allah, vulnerable and sincere. That is a beautiful place to be, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Clarity rarely arrives in the same moment as confusion. It comes later, often quietly. You look back and realize that the confusion protected you from rushing into something harmful. It stopped you from making decisions you would have regretted. It redirected your focus toward growth, patience, and trust. At the time, you could not see the wisdom. But later, it becomes clear that Allah was guiding you step by step, even when you felt lost. There is also a lesson in accepting confusion without panic. Not every question needs an immediate answer. Not every phase of life is meant to be understood while you are inside it. Some lessons only make sense in hindsight. Faith is trusting Allah enough to walk forward even when the road is foggy, knowing that He sees what you cannot. When you learn to sit with confusion, instead of fighting it, it transforms you. You become more patient with yourself, more compassionate with others, more aware of your need for Allah. That awareness is clarity in itself. It reminds you that guidance does not come from within you alone, but from Allah, who knows your past, present, and future. So if you are in a season of confusion, do not despair. You are not lost. You are being prepared. Continue to pray. Continue to seek halal, goodness, and sincerity. Take small steps, even if the full picture is unclear. Allah does not guide with confusion forever. He guides through it. And when clarity finally arrives, you will realize that this confusing season was not a detour. It was the path. There are times when Allah removes things from our lives that we are deeply attached to, and the removal feels painful, even unfair. We wonder why something that seemed harmless, even good, had to go. But one of the quiet realities of faith is that Allah often removes what distracts us before He gives us what elevates us. This removal is not loss in the true sense. It is preparation. Distractions are not always sinful. Sometimes they are simply things that take too much space in the heart. A person, a goal, a lifestyle, or even a dream can become so consuming that it slowly pushes Allah to the edges of our lives. When that happens, Allah, out of mercy, intervenes. He loosens our grip on what we are holding too tightly, so our hands are free for something far greater. Many people ask Allah for growth, success, peace, or closeness to Him, without realizing that these gifts require space. You cannot carry everything at once. Elevation demands focus, sincerity, and a heart that is not divided. So Allah begins by removing the noise. He removes what keeps you busy but unfulfilled, present but distracted, moving but not progressing. The removal often hurts because we do not see the distraction as a problem. We saw comfort, familiarity, or joy, but Allah saw stagnation. He saw something that would limit you, drain you, or delay the good that was written for you. What feels like a setback is often Allah clearing the path. There is wisdom in the order Allah chooses. He removes before He gives. If He gave first, we might appreciate it. Or worse, we might ruin it because we were not ready. So He trains the heart through loss, patience, and reliance. He teaches you how to stand without what you depended on. So when elevation comes, you stand with gratitude and humility. Sometimes Allah removes something because it is competing with what He wants to give you. You cannot walk two paths at once. You cannot chase two destinations with the same level of commitment. So Allah chooses for you. He takes away what is holding you back so you can move forward without hesitation. This process is deeply personal. What is a distraction for? One person may not be for another. That is why comparison is dangerous. Allah knows the individual heart. He knows what pulls you away from your purpose and what brings you closer to it. His removal is tailored, precise, and full of mercy, even when it feels harsh. When distractions are removed, there is often a period of emptiness. That emptiness can feel uncomfortable, even frightening. But emptiness is not absence, it is readiness. It is the space where Allah plants new strength, clarity, and direction. If you rush to fill that space with something familiar, you may miss what Allah is preparing for you. Elevation does not always come in the form we expect. Sometimes it is increased peace, sometimes it is stronger iman, sometimes it is clarity of purpose, and sometimes it is an opportunity that only arrives once your heart is free from what was weighing it down. Whatever form it takes, it requires a heart that is present, focused, and surrendered. Trusting Allah in removal is one of the highest levels of faith. It means believing that what Allah is taking is less valuable than what He is about to give. It means understanding that Allah sees your future, not just your present pain. So if something has been removed from your life and you are struggling to understand why, remind yourself that Allah is not depriving you. He is refining you. He is making room for growth, for blessing, for elevation. And when what He has prepared finally arrives, you will realize that the removal was not a loss at all. It was the beginning of something far greater. One of the most misunderstood moments in a believer's journey is delay. When you make dua and the answer does not come, when effort is met with waiting, when progress feels slow despite sincerity, the heart begins to question. Many people quietly assume that delay means rejection, that silence means Allah has turned away. But delay is not denial. Very often, delay is preparation. Allah does not rush His gifts because His gifts are not shallow. What He gives is meant to last, to benefit, and to draw you closer to Him. If something arrived before you were ready, it could harm you rather than help you. So Allah prepares the servant before He delivers the blessing. That preparation happens through patience, growth, and sometimes through hardship. When Allah delays, He is working on you in ways you may not notice. He may be strengthening your character, softening your heart, or correcting your intentions. You may be asking for a certain outcome, while Allah is shaping you into the kind of person who can carry it without losing faith, humility, or gratitude. That shaping takes time. Delay also teaches sincerity. At the beginning, many du'as are mixed with desire, impatience, or expectation. Over time, as the waiting continues, the heart is refined. You stop demanding and start trusting. You stop focusing on the gift and start focusing on the giver. That shift transforms your relationship with Allah. It turns du'a from a transaction into a connection. There are also times when Allah delays because what you asked for is connected to other pieces of your life that are not yet in place. People, circumstances, timing, and unseen factors all have to align. Allah is arranging things you cannot see. If one piece is missing, the entire outcome could fall apart. So Allah waits not out of neglect but out of precision. Delay protects you from regret. Many things look perfect in the moment but become burdens later. If Allah gave you everything the moment you asked, you might thank Him briefly and then struggle with the consequences long term. When Allah delays, He allows you to mature, to see more clearly, and to appreciate the blessing when it finally arrives. Waiting also builds resilience. A believer who learns to wait with faith becomes stronger, calmer, and more grounded. They learn that their peace does not depend on immediate results, but on trust in Allah's wisdom. That kind of peace is a gift in itself. Sometimes Allah delays to give you something different from what you asked for, something better. But if He gave it immediately, you might never have been open to that alternative. Delay keeps your heart flexible. It teaches you to surrender your expectations and accept Allah's choice, even if it looks different from your original plan. It is important to remember that Allah is never late. His timing is perfect even when it does not match ours. What feels like a long wait to you is a carefully measured moment in Allah's plan. Every second of delay is accounted for. Nothing is wasted. So when you find yourself waiting, resist the urge to lose hope. Continue to make dua, but also continue to improve yourself. Use the delay as a season of preparation, not frustration. Strengthen your iman, refine your character, and deepen your trust in Allah, because when the time is right, Allah's answer arrives in a way that makes sense of every moment you waited. And when it does, you will realize that the delay was not a punishment. It was Allah's way of peace, preparing you for something you were not ready to receive before. There comes a moment in a believer's life when the path ahead changes without warning. Plans fall apart, certainty disappears, and the future no longer looks the way it once did. In these moments of redirection, the heart is tested in a very specific way, not by how much it understands, but by how much it trusts. Trusting Allah during redirection is not easy, yet it is one of the greatest doors to peace and growth. Redirection challenges the illusion of control. We like to believe that if we plan well enough and try hard enough, life will unfold exactly as we expect. But Allah gently reminds us that true control belongs to Him alone. When a path shifts, it exposes our dependence on our own understanding and invites us to place that dependence where it truly belongs. This surrender, though difficult, lightens the heart. The burden of needing to know everything is lifted. Peace does not come from having all the answers. It comes from knowing who holds the answers. When you trust Allah during redirection, your heart learns to rest, even when the mind is unsure. You stop fighting reality and start accepting it as part of divine wisdom. That acceptance is not weakness, it is strength rooted in faith. Redirection also opens the door to growth. When life moves according to our plans, we grow comfortable. But when Allah redirects us, we are pushed beyond familiar limits. New strengths emerge, skills develop, patience deepens. A believer who trusts Allah through change often becomes wiser, more resilient, and more grounded than before. Trust transforms fear into hope. Without trust, redirection feels like loss. With trust, it becomes opportunity. You begin to believe that even if something ended, something meaningful is beginning. Even if one path closed, another is being prepared. That belief does not remove sadness, but it prevents despair. It allows the heart to grieve without losing faith. One of the most beautiful outcomes of trust is inner peace. This peace is not dependent on circumstances improving immediately. It exists even while the future is unclear. It is the peace of knowing that Allah is guiding every step, even the confusing ones. This kind of peace cannot be taken away by external change because it is rooted in certainty of Allah's care. Trust also strengthens your connection with Allah. During redirection, you speak to Him more honestly. You rely on Him more deeply. You remember Him more consistently. The heart that trusts in difficulty often becomes closer to Allah than the heart that only remembers Him in ease. That closeness is a form of growth far greater than worldly success. Redirection teaches humility. It reminds you that life is not about forcing outcomes, but about responding to Allah's will with sincerity. This humility softens the heart and makes it receptive to guidance. It allows you to learn from every experience rather than resisting it. Over time, trusting Allah changes how you view your past. You begin to see that earlier redirections were turning points, not setbacks. They shaped your character, refined your priorities, and led you to places you never would have chosen, but are grateful to have reached. This reflection strengthens your trust for future redirections. So when Allah redirects your life, do not measure the moment only by what you lost. Measure it by what you are becoming. Trust does not mean pretending everything is easy. It means believing that Allah is with you through the difficulty, guiding you toward what is best for your heart and your akhirah. In that trust lies peace. In that trust lies growth. And in that trust lies the certainty that no redirection guided by Allah can ever lead you astray as we reach the end. Remember this. The feelings you experience when life shifts, when things fall apart, when certainty disappears, are not signs that Allah has left you. They're often signs that He is leading you. What feels like discomfort is guidance. What feels like loss is protection. What feels like confusion is the doorway to clarity. What feels like removal is preparation. What feels like delay is careful design. And what feels like redirection is mercy wrapped in wisdom. Allah is not rewriting your story to harm you. He is refining it to save you. Every closed door, every pause, every change of direction is moving you away from what would weaken your faith and toward what will strengthen your heart. Even when you do not understand the path, you can trust the one who chose it for you. So walk forward with patience. Hold on to prayer. Anchor your heart in trust. Let go of what Allah has removed. Wait calmly through what He has delayed and step confidently into where He is guiding you next. Because when Allah redirects your life, it is always towards something better. If not in what you see now, then in who you become, and ultimately in what awaits you with Him. May Allah grant us hearts that trust Him in every season, eyes that recognize His mercy in every change, and peace in knowing that wherever He leads us is exactly where we are meant to be. Ameen.